Today's video, we are going to be taking a ride on another ferry. This is going to be another video in my series of videos where I take a look at the different ferries and different ships that on the west coast of British Columbia we rely on for transportation. And while we're on those ships, we take a look at some of the interesting electrical, fire alarm, and other life safety systems that can be found on a ship and differ from those that you'd find on a land-based building. I've already done several videos on some of the various BC Ferries vessels, including the Coastal class, the Spirit class, the Sea class, as well as the Salish class, as well as non-BC ferry ships such as the Blackball Ferry Line's MV Coho. But today's video is going to be on a ship that is in some ways related to the MV Coho, but is a BC Ferries vessel. In fact, one of the oldest ferries still left in the BC Ferries fleet. That is going to be BC Ferries Queen of New Westminster. While not the largest, and most certainly not the newest, the Queen of New Westminster may just have some of the most interesting history of any of the ships in the BC Ferries fleet. Before we start today's video taking a trip on the Queen of New Westminster, I think it's very important that we first cover the history of this vessel. As for how the Queen of New Westminster came about, I need to talk about some of the previous ships before it, and this can get a little complicated, but I'm going to do my best to get this as simplified as I can. In the late 1950s, the provincial British Columbia government was needing to establish a government-operated ferry system. This was due to reliability issues with privatized companies offering service for the coastal BC residents. But the new BC Ferries Company had no ships. Now, a ferry system without ships is pretty much useless. So they needed to get some ships. Like anything, designing something from nothing takes a lot of time and money, so they turned to what at the time was a brand new ferry and fit pretty well into what they were looking for, a passenger and vehicle roll-on, roll-off, ro-ro ferry. That was the MV Coho. And yes, the 1959 Coho is still in service and still looking pretty good. However, the Coho wasn't quite perfect for BC Ferries' needs. So they took the design of the Coho, modified it, created a ship that could load from the bow, and created the Sydney-class ferry. The Queen of Sydney, of course bearing the name of the class, was the lead ship of the Sydney class, and her sister ship was BC Ferries Queen of Tsawwassen. BC Ferries operated those two sister ships for a very short amount of time before they realized they wanted more. Once again, BC Ferries was looking for more ships. They already had the Sydney class, which had been based off the Coho, so they decided to take this Sydney class and further modify them with new engines and some cosmetic changes and make a continuation of the Sydney class. And that created this. This was the first of 7 ferries of the new class. This was the Queen of Victoria, and this new class was called the V-Class. Within the first decade of Queen of Victoria's operation, the ship was involved in a quite significant collision with a Russian freighter in Active Pass. Active Pass is a narrow passage between Galliano and Main Island. Since the collision in 1970, BC Ferries is one of the few operators allowed by Transport Canada to operate large vessels through the passage. Anyway, back to Queen of Victoria, the lead ship of the Victoria class, or just the V-Class. Between 1962 and 1965, in total, 7 of the V-Class were built. And then they were cut in half. And then they were cut in half again. Now I will talk about that later, but the reason I bring it up now is that created a subclass of the V-Class, because 2 of the vessels were only cut in half once, opposed to twice, and that became a subclass called the B-Class. The lead ship of the B-Class being the Queen of Burnaby. But at the end of the day, it was still a V-Class vessel. Also, always and forever a V-Class vessel was today's vessel, Queen of New Westminster, which is sometimes also referred to as its own class, as that ship had some specific modifications to it that the others didn't, but at the end of the day, they're all V-Class vessels. And in fact, Queen of New Westminster is the only V-Class vessel left in service. Every ship in this video so far talked about, including the MV Coho, the Sydney class, as well as all 7 of the V-Class, were designed by naval architect Philip F. Spaulding. There you have it. That is how the V-Class of ferry came about, and specifically, the Queen of New Westminster. today's topic of this video. Let's go ahead and start things off and board this ferry. Alright, Davis, what ship are we on?
Queen of New Westminster. Alright, Nikki.
Starting off our video on the New Westminster, we step into 1964 on the main vehicle car deck. This is the second car deck, the higher up level for your standard height vehicles. We will later go down a level and check out the overheight vehicle deck.
For the information of passengers, destination is Swartz Bay, Vancouver Island. Once again, we're going to Swartz Bay, Vancouver Island. We do not stop at any of the other called islands. Please check your tickets, make sure you're on the right level.
It's a little late now, isn't it?
I think we passed the only ones.
Around the ships, you will find these fire damper status panels in many locations. You can see if your dampers are open or shut. You can see that there is damper H, damper G, as well as a exhaust fan, which on here they refer to its location at the frame number. So the frame number of the ship, every frame has a different number. And you can see there are actually local controls at this panel where you can flip it from open to closed. There would very likely also be controls at the bridge and engineering spaces and possibly automatic tie-ins to fire alarm system. So it's got those, we got bells, notifier bells.
Gray bells.
What the seagull doing? How special. Davis, I kind of want to check out the bottom deck while we still can. The reason I say while we still can is the bottom vehicle deck is fully enclosed, and due to Transport Canada guidelines, that cannot be occupied while the ship is underway, so it's only just prior to arrival and after departure that it is open before it is closed off. That is due to its enclosed nature, so in the event that the ship needs to be abandoned, evacuation times could be much slower from all the way down, as well as its enclosed space may be an issue with carbon monoxide poisoning if there's vehicles left running, which does happen more often than you'd think. Of course, there are exhaust fans, however, it's still always a risk. Haven't been on the old girl for a while. If ever, I don't remember.
I have.
You have?
All the years.
Let me go here.
Go ahead.
We're jamming up. Let's go, boys. Thank you.
You might be waiting a long time.
Thanks. Hang on. The big ones are 4 lanes wide, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is 3. Yeah, they do.
Run an active pass. I'm not trying to get exposed.
All right, well, let's head up then. Oh, I'm falling down the stairs. We explored deck 3, that is the main vehicle deck, and we went down to deck 2, which is the overheight vehicle deck. Deck 1 is engineering spaces, so that is not something I got the opportunity to access today, but we will now head up to deck 4, one of the 2 passenger decks on this ship. Here you can see we have Notifier FSP 951 smoke detectors as well as standard bulb type sprinkler heads opposed to the mist type that we've seen on some of the other ships. Yeah, sure. We are now heading up from deck 4 and the main promenade deck that wraps around the entire ship up to deck 5, where there is another passenger space as well as a outer deck on deck 5. Just doesn't go all the way around. I want to hear that tritone horn. Yeah, last V class left.
Okay, we are on the Westminster DC ferry. This is the last B class left. Still running.
This is towards the bow of the ship. The bridge is up there. That's looking astern. Emergency generator. Highest point of the ship as usual.
Okay, I'm ready.
I don't know if we can hear very well. It's pretty loud.
They've got notifier, PG-12 LXs here.
Did they?
Yeah, they do.
I didn't see any.
They do.
We have to take a look more.
We got spectrum alert. Fuck.
We got City of Vancouver over there. I'm going to explore the ship more afterwards, both passenger decks and the rest of the outside deck, both levels. But for now, I'm waiting to hear the horn, as there should be 3 pulls of the horns. Some of my viewers know a lot about the horns. I know this is tri-chord horn, where as the cord gets pulled, it progressively brings on each. What I was trying to explain, and doing a poor job at it, is the Queen of New Westminster's horns, or whistles. Air horns are a tri-note horn, meaning there are 3 horns, each one producing a different note or different tone. And the ship has what is known as a pull cord horn, meaning there is actually a cord you pull on the bridge, and that cord pulls open valves, and you can progressively pull it where it staggers each note coming on. So you will hear 1 note, 2nd note, and 3rd note separately as the pull cord is progressively pulled, bringing on 1 note at a time. Now, there are also electronic valves, I'm assuming possibly pneumatic, but either way, with a button pushed on the bridge, it will bring on all the tones at once, and that is what is done when the ship is departing. However, I do believe we will hear the pull cord later on in the video. Not sure what brand is on here. These ones might be air chime, but they sound cool. The 3-tone horns sound awesome. It's a real different outside design with the stairs going through the center of the deck. You can look onto the lower promenade deck that wraps around the ship. You can see the ship's keeping forward thrust to keep it pushed into the berth for the vehicles to load. Gray bell. Yeah, BG12 or NBG12. I don't see it blink, but I see the light in there. No, because I saw the LED in there, like there should be one.
Well, so it's not.
What's that? Queen of Alberni. What was it? Surrey that's over there? It's broke down of the C class. I did a video on the C class. Oh, this is kind of nice in the shade, actually. So that up there is the bridge and the bridge wing. I think we can get below the bridge, maybe on the lower deck. This is, I believe, maybe the oldest vessel still in the fleet, and the only one left of the V class. I think there was 7 of them, and many of them have been expanded, like this one, where they expanded in 2 ways, cut in half horizontally, and added a whole another car deck, as well as cut in half vertically and extended. Should say too, these V-class were based on the previous Sydney class, which I think were based on the MV Coho was the first one, and then Queen of Sydney and Queen of Sawasan were the first Sydney class, which then these V-class were somewhat based on, from my understanding. Smoke just changed. On most of the ferries, including this one, the captain or someone from the bridge will make an announcement warning passengers on the outside that the ship's whistle will sound because of its extremely loud nature. Even with the warning, it can be quite startling. Just prior to departure, the ship will do one blast of the whistle, warning that the ship will be departing soon, followed by, once it's actually leaving, 3 blasts of the ship's whistle to indicate that the ship is heading astern. Smoke just changed. There's nothing I can do. Isn't there going to be 3 because we're going astern?
I don't know, but I'm jumping.
No, you feel it in your chest, man. Like if I felt it, like it hit me. I knew it was coming. It still made me jump too. Those sound good though. There should be 3 for going astern. They might say again, I don't know. Oh, I guess we could watch those cords. Would give us a bit of warning. There I'm referring to the 3 cords that go up towards the whistles themselves, which the cord would give some warning if you could see it tighten up when it's being pulled, but that's only if they're using the pull cord. In this case, they're using the valve to open it. Warning. I did not see the cords move. Warning. I did not see the cords move.
I looked away for a second. Shouldn't be happening again.
No, not until active pass. Dude, those sound so good. I gotta hear them again, man. New Westminster whistle.
Horn. I'm a horny guy.
No. Well, I don't think we can go to the very stern, so we can go in or go down. First, I guess let's check out the top deck. What deck is this? Deck 5. Dude, that smells like old ship, don't it?
Is this what the co-hosts were like?
Yeah, but more. They don't put these on the new ones. Is this like the quiet space? Dude, it's weird. It's quiet, but there's so many vibrations. Like it's not loud in here, but the vibrations are. Okay, so that's the quiet space. I think this is where we crossed earlier.
Yeah.
We could keep going back. Mere calm. This is actually quieter than the Spirit. I'm impressed. This 60-year-old thing's not bad. Oh yeah, there's a... This thing's so skinny, hey? Like a cross. Okay. Okay. Where should we go now? It's hot in here. Okay, so that right there is just like the coho, which apparently that's illegal now. You can't have stairs like on going perpendicular to the ship's length, because when it rolls, like people can fall down easy. Because obviously it rolls more than it pitches, right? Here is the 60-year anniversary plaque that is on the new Westminster. This also applies to some of the other V-class ships, as most of them went through some of the similar upgrades and expansions that the new West did. So I'll show this plaque here. I wish they all had that. That's like kind of neat. So they don't talk about when it fell off last year, hey? So that's when it got cut in half lengthwise and added a deck, and that's when it got cut in half across and lengthened. Pretty impressive. Like once they replace it?
When it was getting refitted.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
And like a big one drops.
Dude, that front is just like the coho.
Well, you can tell they're all the same size.
Well, I mean, it's not though, because the Sydney class was based on the coho, and this was like a further addition, but it's like the architecture. Yeah, so V class, which this is continuation of Sydney class, yeah. So pretty similar. Well, they were all made by, what is it? Something Spalding?
Yeah.
I don't remember. I don't like it. I like the smaller line. What's going on with the lights in here?
Make your mind. There's some locks. This one lock. So the newer ones are way better for not making that wake. It's way worse of a wake. Or better if you like the wake. That's nice, Davis. Yo, I think that it just looks raining on that side. Why they cover this side?
Alright, let's head over. Let's go out this side. Sunset. What? Are you actually joking me right now? How? It must be just that door. Yeah, it's just the one door. What's your capacity there, bud? Dude, so many of these are emergency only. Oh, it's kind of the same idea as the spirits. Where it's like, you go back and forth to get around, right? How many people have ran their faces into each other there? Do a little cut through, buddy.
Nice stars.
Fuck, I love that dude. Yeah, like inside?
Like outside.
Yeah, I mean, we were there earlier, right? Or like we could probably do it on the car deck. The Coho was cool because it had like an actual bow that you could walk right to the point of.
Yeah.
Oh. Stand right here. Right here.
Oh.
Why don't we just spend $3 on
Inflatable BC Ferries.
Is that a spirit? One of the spirits.
God only knows what it is.
We gotta get to the car and blow things up.
We gotta be patient.
Well, maybe they'll return it because it's not a life-saving device. I was gonna jump off with this thing and just swim my way back, man. That was too embarrassing of a purchase to do alone. Are we special?
Wait.
Don't take mine. I like mine. Davis,
Going to the Suez Canal. Oh, guess who I am?
Davis, you're evergreen, given whatever.
Exactly.
There's people in their car behind us, dude. embarrassing. Notifier makes ferries? Well, there you have it. I am glad I was finally able to make a video of BC Ferries Queen of New Westminster. This has been a ship that I wanted to cover for a while, as I think it's probably one of BC Ferries' coolest ships that they still operate. Like I said, it's not the biggest, and it is definitely far from the newest, but it's had quite some history to it with all the different expansions, with it being cut in half horizontally and cut in half vertically, and many of the upgrades done to it over the years. It was in a major refit in 2009. I did the calculations, and in total they have spent around $260, close to $270 million in upgrades to this ship and refits, which for that cost they probably could have got a new one. But good financial choices are never really fun anyways, or exciting, so I think it's pretty cool that the last of the V-Class is still around and will be for another few years. I believe it is scheduled to be replaced in 2029 or potentially 2031. I can't remember exactly when its retirement is due or where the vessel will end up afterwards, but only time will tell for that. So if you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you do have any comments or questions, feel free to leave those down below, and if you do enjoy the channel, make sure to subscribe. Also, if you are interested, I do have an Instagram account at Pickle700 for bonus content and stuff posted earlier than you'd see it on the YouTube channel, that sort of thing. Alrighty guys, thanks for watching. You're a toddler.
So you say I'm a toddler.
You are.
What's this back here, buddy?
That's mine. But I'm not being like I'm 3 with mine. I'm acting like a 19-year-old.
Shut up!